Hi Libra, welcome to a new format of mine. I'm going to be doing general tarot readings twice a month, up to the mid-month and then for the end of the month, at least for the time being, to see how they go, because I have realized that I wanted to have more readings, but I'm trying to hit a sweet spot on how to do it. The monthly general readings, I will probably just be shelving and having these general readings twice a month instead of just once a month. So the other thing too is I want to thank all those people who chimed in about the love readings. I'm going to keep those separate, and if in my general readings it's an overwhelmingly obvious love vibe, I will mention it, but otherwise I will tend to focus on other things, maybe mention it in passing for those who it might resonate with, but I want to keep them separate because they're very popular and I want to devote enough time just to the love aspect. So these readings, it won't be like just career, but it will be kind of focused on other topics as well. And so it will be good because during a single month, we have a full moon and we have a new moon. And these events may shape your lives and change them in some way. And perhaps the tarot can symbolize that by breaking it up into two parts. I have already done an October 2016 general reading, so it is available. But after that month, this month is over in October, I'm not going to be doing just for the whole month, the general readings. I will do for the love though. So anyway, I did have to start and stop, so that's why these cards are laid out already. For the overall energy for the first 2 weeks of the month, we have the King of Cups. So this could be someone who is featured in your life in some way. If I had to describe the King of Cups, because the court cards can relate to a specific person in your life, I would say it's a male who is mature, probably older than you, and he may be an authority figure. Kings can relate to fathers, but if it is a father, he's going to be a very compassionate father, somebody who's very kind of maybe even soft-spoken, maybe a little bit intuitive and dreamy and not aggressive, and very emotional. If I had pulled the King of Wands, it could be a father who kind of pushes you a lot to accomplish things, very ambitious for you, maybe is very extroverted and very just full of energy, but not the kind of intuitive person that I associate with the King of Cups. And this King of Cups can also be someone who is wanting for you happiness, and it's not dependent upon external sources. So this is what I say when I'm talking about a father who just loves you very deeply and wants the best for you, in just so that you can be happy, so that you can experience happy emotions. Now we have in the current position, this is kind of like the symbolism, but we also have for the current position or the near future, the Queen of Cups. So these could be parents, but parents who are really emotionally connected to you. Maybe it's just like a temporary thing. Maybe you've had something in your life that has required them to spend more time with you, to nurture you, if you've had some kind of a negative situation. So I look at the past position and I get the Five of Pentacles. So this does point for some of you that there may have been hard times financially. But when I see the Five of Pentacles, Libra, I think more of a mindset than an actual situation, because the Five of Pentacles can relate to money fluctuations of the negative variety where things are kind of gone downhill, and maybe you've had to have parents support you, if only emotional support. Maybe you have enough money to live, but you've just been struggling. Maybe you lost your job or something along those lines that have made you feel like you don't have a lot of money. But the thing always to remember with the number 5 is that it's fluctuation. There's change afoot, and change can swing back. It's when people get caught up in whatever that card represents that they tend to create their own reality from one experience. And you know in life that people keep going downhill when they have something bad happen and they don't right the ship. Like, in other words, like, let's say they lose their job, and then it becomes like a downhill slide. That's, I think, what I was going with that. Luckily for Libra, you tend to be very positive when it comes to your ideas of wealth. The 5 of Pentacles is specifically about career and money matters because Pentacles connects to that earth element, and it tends to deal with, practical matters. So it could be that you got caught up in it for a second, but maybe your parents helped you, or some people, a counselor could be represented by this or this card, a trusted friend, especially if that friend is older and nurturing, maybe a substitute parent. But whoever it is, there are people that are willing to help you get over the hump. I feel that for most of you, it's going to be a very temporary situation that you experienced. It is in the past position, so you would know whether or not it occurred at the time of this recording. And basically, what's so beautiful about it is that it could be that you are one of these two people. And if you're, depending on your gender, you may identify with either the King or the Queen of Cups. What you have to understand is that these two people, because they're kings and queens, they have superior ability to work with emotions. The Page of Cups is naive. So the Page of Cups can get easily manipulated by other people because of their gullibility. But the King and Queen are on top of their game when it comes to emotions, and they're very psychic. So they're very much in attunement to the hidden forces of life. And this is, I feel like a lot of successful people, a lot, that we know of who are billionaires and things like that, that they, probably all of them, if you were to look at all their charts, are highly intuitive. And that this is why they make the great decisions that they make financially, because they know when to buy and sell. And I'm not talking about insider trading. I'm talking about people who have an instinct for this thing. Even in terms of like products that you sell. When people have the finger on the pulse of society, it means that they're in attunement on a deeper level with what people are looking for in terms of particular items to buy. And this is very helpful in business. So for those of you who did get caught up in it, it could be that you have, let's say, since you're right by Libra, you might have, since you're right by Virgo, you might have, or actually sandwiched in between Virgo and Scorpio, both of those signs can be fiscally conservative, okay? And so both of them can be prone to worrying about various things in life. With the water signs like Scorpio, they can tend to worry about financial security, whereas Virgos just worry about everything, So I say that because the adjacent signs can have some of those personal points in them very easily. And so, like Mercury, Venus, and Mars, they could be very close, and they have to be fairly close to the sun in order to be, in your chart. The moon and the rising sun can be anything, but in any case, there is Mars. Let me just clarify that. Venus for sure, and Venus is connected with money. Mars not so much, because sometimes when it goes retrograde, it really falls behind. And so the sun may be far away from it. But definitely Venus and Mercury can be, right in the same sign, or, right next to you on either side. So anyhow, this is something that you can get over for sure and heal, because you have that water element to heal. So remember that the minor arcana cards are temporary situations. They're kind of like snapshots in time. And also remember that this is a general reading, because some of you may say, what are you talking about? I'm on a great roll. And you may very well be. This is like, because it's in the past position, it may have been something that happened in September. It may have been something that happened in August, in the near past, that is influencing you now. Okay. The other thing too, I think that in general, and it may not have to do with any kind of bad experience that you had that led to the Five of Pentacles. It could be just a way that you were raised, and so you have this kind of limited thinking. This would be the minority of Librans, though, because most of you are very free spending, and when people are free spending, a lot of times it's because they have confidence that there's more where that came from. So they don't have this kind of like they're clinging to every penny. And this tends to produce more of it for them, because they have a feeling of unlimited supply. So for those who, for whatever reason, were raised otherwise, or just have other ideas about that, maybe past life influences, I feel like you're going to get on top of your game, and you're not going to worry, because, emotions are connected to worry, negative emotions. And the king is in charge of things. The king is the most mature expression of whatever the suit is. And in this case, it's the water, which connects to your emotional nature. So you're going to be on top of things. And to me, the queen is representing like an extension of that energy, that nurturing, as well as definitely psychic energy. What crosses you is represented by the Eight of Swords. So this is going, I do connect that to this card. There's a limited thinking and worry. And so there might be remnants of it, even though maybe something has happened that's made you a lot more relieved about, your prospects. There may be lingering things that make you go, oh, wow, wait a second. And if that's the case, you're going to have to look at those things. Now, it's interesting because you've had this solar eclipse in your 12th house, and I connect the 12th house to some of these deeply embedded negative thoughts that hold you back. So maybe you're getting released from those, but maybe there's some purification that's still happening. And it's just kind of a reminder that when you want to achieve certain things in life, you have to be willing to change how you think. Change how you think, and life will automatically change. It can't help but change, because you have changed the trajectory of it just by, changing your belief about it. And you try it and you'll see. I know it's easier said than done. It's not just like you snap your fingers and it works. But if you're committed to change, there are all kinds of books, on the law of attraction and things along those lines, which can help you make space for something much more self-empowered and much more prosperous to occur in your life. And prosperous doesn't have to be on this grand scale. It can simply mean, regular flow. Maybe you're just barely getting by, but at least you know that you can, pay for everything that you need to pay. That could be the first step. The advice is the Knight of Swords. So again, another swords card is related to your element of air. It's about, the Knight of Swords is about somebody who is fearless in their communications and is very passionate almost like a zealot to really deal with things. You know, if this is a love relationship, it could have something to do with earth sign person. Maybe you're getting divorced from a Taurus or a, whatchamacall them, Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo, or Virgo. And that person, you know, that's in the past position. One of those people. Now, I also associate what the card represents with that person's personality. So not only would it be an earth sign or somebody with a lot of that in their chart, but it's also somebody who may be, you know, very limited in their belief system about money. Maybe you fought about money. And I could see an earth sign and a Libran person fighting about money for sure. Maybe now you're with a water sign individual and you feel more of a sense of being, you know, tapping into that nurturing side of yourself. Maybe with the earth sign, there was like kind of like it was kind of enhancing that detached side that Librans have, but it wasn't tapping into your heart chakra as it is now. So why would you be told to become more like this air sign? Because air is logical, and perhaps, you know, you're maybe especially if like you're in a love kind of a mood where you're feeling like in that euphoria, you may kind of lose your head a little bit, and you have to remember that in that initial stage, you have to see if you're truly compatible, if it's not just something that you know, I don't know, I was going to say a fairy story, you know, like a storybook romance or something like that. Not living in one of those romance novels, but really seeing it for what it is and being able to get out of it early on if it's something that really isn't suitable. Because Librans kind of crave love, and so you gravitate towards it wherever you can find it. And a King of Cups individual would be like, if you're a woman, be the perfect guy who would be very romantic and you know, hearts and flowers, but that may not ultimately be the person in terms of temperament that would be best suited for you. So it could be saying that you need somebody more like this, somebody who's willing to tell it like it is. And this person isn't. This person might be like indirect, and you might find ultimately that you're not compatible, even though you appreciate their kindness and you appreciate their sensitivity, that ultimately you wouldn't be compatible, and you want to nip it in the bud early on, because if you just keep going with it, you could end up making a permanent relationship, having children, and then trying to extricate yourself from that is that much more difficult. Now, the outcome, and I'm going to pick another card because this card always bothers me as an outcome. This is a card that is very similar to the Eight of Swords. This is a card of a lot of anxiety, especially like at the times when we have a lot of time on our hands, like in the middle of the night. Usually people they can't talk to other people, and so that's when they start to toss and turn and their minds start racing. So to me, that's a cautionary tale that if you don't get this resolved, you know, we have three cards that kind of represent anxious thoughts. Now, maybe it's saying that if you stay in that relationship, that it won't serve you. But it could also be in terms of any kind of job. You know, maybe you were trying to stay in a job just for the paycheck, and that was your kind of poverty consciousness, and it's just continuing. You're able to get a paycheck every week, but you're tortured. That's the kind of thinking that people engage in when they're playing it too safe, and they end up with a constant paycheck, but also an ulcer, you know. And obviously you can't, if you have certain bills, let's say the rent is coming up, you can't walk off the job and just say screw you, unless you want to, you know, lose the place where you live. You know, sometimes it's perfectly understandable why someone would stay temporarily in a situation. I'm talking about day after day, week after week, if you don't make any moves in a different direction and you just kind of like are clinging to the status quo, then this is probably what you have to look forward to. Now let me pick the card from the bottom of the deck. Okay, and this is what I got. Temperance. Temperance is about balance. And balance, it's also connected to Sagittarius. So there may be a Sagittarius person who is the person right for you. Maybe they have air and Sagittarius in their charts. But it also just relates to balance and doing things very moderation. So in the workplace, the same applies. If you're being asked to do the work of two people, that's neither fair nor is it moderate in terms of your, energy levels. You have to exert yourself more, and you're not even getting additional compensation. I look at temperance and fairness in a similar vein. And you love fairness. As Librans, you really believe in fairness above all else. So with temperance, make sure that you're being grounded when you're making your decisions, that they're not being made out of a sense of anxiety, that they're really thinking things through. And I think that you will gain the upper hand. Obviously, this is just for the 2 weeks. We're going to end with the full moon. The full moon is going to be, actually, the full moon on the 16th of October is going to be in Aries. That's your opposite sign, so that's the 7th house. Okay, that's the house of relationships. So for some of you, there might be some relationship. I'm talking about not just dating, but if you're in a marriage or a committed partnership, something might come to a head. You might find something out. You might decide to call it quits. You may, for some people, it's possible it doesn't have to be negative. It could be that maybe you're just going along and you're going through the motions and you realize that you really love this person, and it deepens your emotional connection to that person. But whatever happens, make sure, because it's going to be in Aries. So Aries is very dramatic and aggressive. And so temperance is really required. That's another point to make. At the time of the end of this reading, I think I said the 15th or the 14th. I think I'm going to have it through the 16th for that full moon. So that will be at the time of a polarity between your first house of self and the house of the other in the partnership. Okay? So that in itself, whenever you have an opposition, there can be two extremes that are being played out. The sun is in your sign, and then the full moon is in Aries. And so it's like a tug of war between you and your needs and the other person's needs. And there may be something that comes to a head regarding that as well. So Libra, I hope that this format agreed with you and maybe some of the cards resonated with you. If you'd like a private reading, you can click on the link below this video. Otherwise, have a great first 2 weeks of October. Bye.